And so the company has solid financials, okay? The company has solid financials. The company is expected to grow, but we have to be able to tie it to something. We have to be able to put it into perspective. And I think a good way to put these numbers into perspective is by looking at companies and looking at their competition, looking at the competition that the companies have, and also looking at how they stand. How do they stand in their own industry? Are they actually a top company in their industry? That is a very, very important thing to really truly consider. And so what I want to do is I want to look at some statistics for electric vehicles. And so when we look at electric vehicles, what is the electric vehicle market expected to do, right? The revenue in the electric vehicles market is projected to reach 457.6 billion in 2023. The revenue is expected to show a CAGR of 17.02%, which is an acronym that stands for Compounded Annual Growth Rate, resulting in a projected market volume of $858 billion by 2027. We're talking about going from 457.6 billion to 858 billion in 4 years. That is huge, right? That is huge. In terms of electric vehicle sales, let me go ahead and do the calculation right now for you in real time, because I want to be able to really truly break this down. So when you see this big K right here behind these vehicle sales, that's pretty much per thousand. That's pretty much per thousand vehicles. So you need to multiply that times 1,000. They're expected to be 8.6 million vehicle sales in 2023. Those electric vehicle market unit sales are expected to reach 16 million, over 16 million vehicles in 2027. We're talking about literally doubling here, okay? Literally doubling here, right? The volume weighted average price of electric vehicles market in 2023 is expected to amount about 53.19, so about $53,000. From an international perspective, it is shown that the most revenue will be generated in China. So when you think about this, Tesla is in an industry that is still growing, very, very rapidly, right? And so it's very, very good to know that the company is in a very, very growing industry, right? So this table right here shows vehicle sales by make, okay? And so this pretty much shows us all of the major electric vehicle companies in the world, right? And this information is up to date based on January 2023. And so, but this is showing us the numbers from 2021. We haven't gotten the full year 2022 numbers yet. If you look at the other, you got 47.3% in the other column, right? Tesla, you got 13.8%, which is number one. BYD, 8.8%. Wuling 6.5, Volkswagen 5.5, BMW 4.1, Mercedes-Benz 3.5, Volvo, Hyundai, Audi, Kia, so on and so forth, right? So in terms of the vehicle sales by make, right, you have a lot of other companies that are selling electric vehicles. You got 47.3% of the market is just grouped up in an other category. That pretty much means that no company in this category has more than 2.5% of the market, right? So that means that that's a huge, huge market. But Tesla is number one, having 13.8% of the vehicle sales, right? The vehicle sales. And so what this shows us is that Tesla does have a lot of competition. But if you say that you're not going to invest in Tesla because of so much competition, in my opinion, that's a very, very lazy argument. Because if you have competition, okay, in your industry, and your industry is still growing, and you are the number one player in the industry, that shows how good of a company that you are. Because you would not be investing into a company that had no competition in the industry. Because if there's no competition in the industry, that means there can't be any growth in the industry. That means people can't make any money. And so when we look at the vehicle sales by make, okay, this is very, very important. And so as time goes on, Tesla's share of the vehicle sales will probably go down. BYD may come up, Wuling may come up, Volkswagen may come up, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, the whole 9 yards, right? But let's go down to another chart very quickly here. So this chart right here gives us the revenue by make. Okay, not the vehicle sales. Okay, the sales, that's cool. Like, that's fine. Like, I understand the sales. This is the revenue by make. How much money are we making? So you see that in the other column, it was 47.3% of the sales of the companies were in that other column, right? 47.3% were in the other column. But this other column has reduced for some reason to 36.7%, right? Remember, the other chart was the vehicle sales by make. This is the vehicle revenue by make. So what this is telling me is that those companies that are very, very small, some of them weren't making any revenue. They weren't making any revenue at all, okay? Look at Tesla. Tesla has a bigger chunk than what it had in the other graph, because this is the money. What type of money is the company making, right? 24.7%. BMW, 6.4%. BMW is third on this list pretty much after other and after Tesla. BMW is third. But if we go back up very quickly to that chart, BMW was 4.1%. So BMW was 4.1% in terms of sales, but they're actually 6.4% in terms of revenue. Mercedes-Benz, same thing. They're 6% in terms of revenue. What does this tell me here? What this tells me is that, yes, there's going to be more competition. And yes, electric vehicle sales may go to other companies. But this is the thing. I don't have to have all of the sales in order to make most of the money, right? What are my margins, right? How much money am I able to generate off of a sale? You may be able to sell 100 units of your product, and you may only be able to generate $1 for every 1 unit you sell, right? So you sold 100 units times $1. That means you generated $100 in profit. $100 in profit, okay? But let's say I was able to sell 20 units and generate $10 in profit for every unit. That means I made $200 in profit, right? By only selling 20 units. You made $100 in profit by selling 100, right? That's pretty much what I'm trying to tell you. Think of it in terms of smartphones, right? Apple does not sell the most smartphones throughout the world. That is still Android. Android still controls that worldwide. But Apple is killing everybody in terms of the margins. Apple makes the most money off of their phones, right? They don't have to sell the most phones. They have to be able to generate the most money from them. And when we look at this chart, Tesla is clearly the leader in terms of generating the revenue, right? Generating the revenue from the vehicles that they sell, right? So pretty much what you have to ask yourself is, can Tesla continue to generate that revenue, right? How do they do that? That pretty much goes into, what does the company have coming forth, right? What are the major things that are happening, the major growth drivers for the company? Could autonomous technology, autonomous driving, could that change some things, right? Could the introduction of some new products or some new services change some things, right? Could electric semi trucks change those things, right? Could humanoid robots change how we feel about the revenue make of the company? And so when you think about all these things and you think about your companies, right? At the end of the day, think about it like this, okay? Does the company have good fundamentals? Is the company expected to grow revenue? And where does it land in its industry in relation to its competition? That will tell you if this is a good stock and if this is a company that you should be investing in moving forward.